Oh, yes! That was so quick. What was that, 2 attempts on recording? Oh, that fight is so good. Attempts are actually quite quick when you... Wait a minute, did I beat... Oh, never mind. I was gonna say that, everyone typically beats Deus first because the enraged version of laser jump rope is that freaking hard. I finally defeated my muscle memory to jump whenever I hear the sound effect or see the arrows. I originally had this technique where whenever... At first I react to where the arrows are. So if I see them low, I jump, obviously. If they're high, I don't. But when it gets really fast near the end of those, I think it's 20 lasers. I guess I'll count when I watch this video back. What I would do is eventually I would stop paying attention to where the arrows are, but pay attention to where they aren't. Because when it gets really fast, they start overlapping a little bit, so it's hard to tell where the telegraph for the first laser ends and the telegraph for the next one begins. Yes, all of these thoughts combined with what I said in the previous video about that attack, they were all necessary. Oh, my mouse is on screen. Has that been there the whole time? Damn it. What else did I want to say? Oh, a very minor point I left in my notes. In the last 3 platforming levels, the skybox, the background, I guess it doesn't really count as a skybox in a 2D game. That's the wrong terminology. But the scrolling background, you can see a seam where it loops. I never noticed that before. A slight blemish, but nothing important. So yeah, that feels good. What did that take me? 2 or 3 days? I'll have to look at the dates. Yeah, that's definitely the hardest fight in the game. So far, anyway. Because there is more. And I'm very happy. That didn't take nearly as long as it did the first time, of course. Okay. It's time for me to stop screwing around and admit to something. You know what I said about 3 years? Oh, we didn't see a results screen there. And I kind of implied that that fight that I just beat was what took me 3 years. Well, I misled you. This took 3 years. Deus Leina 2. Yeah, that was the easy part. Now all of their attacks are upgraded. You fight both of them at the same time. They have a shared life bar. I guess a little bit like X1 and X2. They have new attacks. I find it really cute that their life bar graphics are combined, and they have a total of 3,000 life, which each of them had 1,500 earlier, right? For example, that explosion move is faster now, so the timing you learned is not going to help you. So that's one of the problems, is... Part 1 of Deus Leina kind of fucks you up for Part 2, because a lot of the timings are different. The shotgun is absolutely amazing when they're close enough to shoot simultaneously. A few of their moves aren't in this part of the fight. Leina can't speed up time anymore, and Deus can't put up his spears, because both of those affect other moves, and it would cause a lot of chaos. Ah, damn. Okay, I'm just gonna pause here on this game over screen to explain the craziest thing about this fight. What happened there is I got them under 2,000 life. That, once they've crossed that threshold, at the end of their next attack, they will detect that it's time to enter phase 2, and an interlude phase is gonna happen. So that crab mech person shows up, and you need to do an avoidance sequence, which I kind of messed up. I think this is the first time I will spend 2 videos not beating a boss, because I'm just gonna say it, and I don't say this lightly. Deus and Leina here are one of the greatest and most difficult boss fights I have ever experienced. I can't believe how well this fight works. It's awesome, it's fun, it's so precise in so many ways. So satisfying. Part of the reason it took me 3 years to beat them is because of losing my save files once. So I had to replay the game and beat Deus Leina 1 all over again. After spending, I don't know, up to a year attempting Deus Leina 2 for the first time, and that's not the crab, that's someone else. Okay, I'm too giddy, I need to explain. Depending on if Deus or Leina is active when the transition happens, there is a different set of interlude phases. So half of them can only be accessed if Leina is active when the transition happens, the other half only if Deus is active. You can tell based on the background. This, I'll explain this later. Ah, damn. So they still have enrage moves, but they're different. Let's phrase it this way. In Deus and Leina Part 1, Deus' enrage move, let's call it Super Laser Jump Rope. I'm gonna call this one Ultra Laser Jump Rope, which also has vertical lasers. It's actually easier than Part 1 of this boss fight, because it alternates horizontal and vertical lasers, so you can just double jump over all of the horizontal lasers because you know exactly when they're gonna happen. And the vertical lasers give you enough time to land on the ground and steer yourself left and right to avoid them. So unlike the enraged version in Part 1, it's just way less precise and much more consistent. It's just straight up easier when you know the correct technique. Now, if they wanted to, they could have randomized whether Deus does vertical or horizontal lasers. Add another 50-50 coin toss to that, and then you would be relying entirely on your reflexes, and it would be absolutely insane. I kind of wish they did that, honestly, because it would be really cool. Okay, where was I? The interlude phases. There are 18 of them. This boss fight has over 18 unique phases. You don't have to do all of them in a single attempt, but the less of them you can do, the less likely you are to beat this boss, because let's say there's an interlude phase that you just don't know how to do, and you always die to it. Every time the boss rolls that phase, you die. So you want to be able to do all of them so you can ensure that you can consistently get through the fight. Also, once they're under 1,000 life, another interlude happens, and you'll see what's different there. Oh, this is the only boss in the game for which the music doesn't reset when you die. It just pauses, and when you restart, it resumes. Which is amazing. You can just keep trying over and over again, and it feels like a continuous loop. Okay, I need to be more careful. I can see that attack goes across the entire battlefield. You can't just get away, you need to jump over the orbs, no matter what. I think that's more rapid. Some of the changes are subtle, but it's enough to kill you. Here's another unique interlude phase. This part's a little tough. Ah! I either miss time jumping over those ice blocks, or I run into the projectiles afterwards. There's so much to talk about in this fight, I'm honestly getting mind flooded. I don't know what to continue with. I guess I should have explained this attack spawns red tokens for you to jump over the laser. Maybe that's obvious, but you can time it based on when those tokens spawn. Oh god. This guy. I messed it up. Otherwise I was gonna explain. You know, since I mentioned the music, I should elaborate. This track is forever associated with this boss fight for me. That'll happen when you spend 3 years on a boss. But it's actually from the Ace Combat series. It's Blue Sky's Infinity remix. And it's amazing, and I highly recommend you go listen to it. I've listened to it so much I know the lyrics. But I won't recite them now. You might think it doesn't matter which of them you shoot. Oh no, this guy. Watch for the arrow above your head. Practice reacting to it as quick as you can, and double jump each time, because he does that eventually, and that'll get you if you don't double jump. Or if you're too slow. Or if you jump too early. Because if you start falling, you'll land in his bullet volley and die anyway. This is Leina's Enrage attack. It's very unique. You can sort of manipulate the orbs. Oh, it's hard to explain. Maybe next time I die, I'll go into detail about that one. What was I saying? Right, about the armor mechanic from before, it still works the same way, but I think each of them tracks how much damage you've dealt individually, and they gain armor based on that. So if you only shoot Leina, she's going to gain a lot of armor, and it's going to become pointless to hit her with anything other than the rocket launcher. But if you haven't hit Deus at all, he won't have armor. You can manipulate this to make later phases of the fight faster, but I think as a result you would also be extending the earlier phases, so it kind of depends. I found that if you shotgun both of them, you blaze through the first 2/3 of their life bar, but then the last third becomes really tough. Especially what they do at the end, which I'm not going to spoil until I get there, but yeah. So, Leina's Enraged attack. I believe there are 2 or 3 different formations. There's one orb directly above you, then there's 2 orbs to the left and right of you, and then 2 orbs that... Actually, I think the singular orb also has the 2 other orbs. Basically, one orb is directly above you, the other 2 sort of fly off diagonally to the left and right, lobbed pretty far away from you. But the whole point is, if you move a large distance across the arena, those lobbed orbs are going to get you, because they're going really far away from the center of where the attack is aimed. So what you can do is, since it alternates the orb directly above you and the two orbs to the sides, you can manipulate the orb directly above you to overlap with the two orbs. That's what I was doing there to make it easier to avoid. And I want to stress, I was almost completely blind to this game, is just what little footage I saw of it from that one YouTuber. And I had to figure out all of this stuff myself, and I died countless times just encountering a specific move that I don't know how to deal with, and meticulously dying over and over to it again until I learn what to do and what not to do. So this whole process took that long for that reason, and because I don't play many fan games, so this is one of the first ones that I guess it was a rude wake-up call for me. Damn. That pattern is way more dense. I didn't mention, but I quite like these butterfly bullets that she uses. Deus still has the flamethrower, it's faster. Because this attack is so long, if you get lucky and they're next to each other when it happens, you can really eat into their life bar beyond the threshold for the first transition. So this guy, I think these parts of the attack are self-explanatory, but here, he appears next to you and swings the scythe. You need to time jumping so that you avoid the way I just did it there, but it took me so long to figure out the timing for that. I basically look at the after images of him going off the screen to be able to tell what the exact timing is. Those beams have a random horizontal offset. It's a lot like one of Gottfried's attacks. You know the one. If you've been watching so far anyway. I can see some people just wanting to see the final boss. Back to the middle. Jump. 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 Oh, there was another wave, damn it. Now, that interlude is 100% consistent, but I died so many freaking times trying to figure that out. You go to the center, you move slightly to the left or right of the center, and I just duck and wait for the first waves of lasers to pass, and then when the lasers force you out of the middle, I slide twice. You need to slide twice. If you don't, you die because you don't move fast enough to get out of the middle. Then you need to get back in the middle. Lots of trial and error to figure out those rockets, and yeah. Again, this is one of 18 different phases you have to learn. Those green beams are kind of nasty, by the way, because the animation where they dissipate, there are still active frames of the beams during that. So it's a little harder than it looks. You need to wait for that, or it's gonna catch you and kill you anyway. I didn't think about this before, but the vertical red beams... Sorry, I want to focus on this. One more. Yeah. Okay, got it. I think the vertical red beam attack of Deus replaces his spears. Maybe this replaces Leina's time acceleration, I'm not sure. Okay, I got them under 1,000, and now another interlude happens. Damn it. That guy's really tough. And yeah, those tokens force you to the ground, so you have to dodge within that space down there. Double jumping is kind of risky because you might just get slammed back down into one of his attacks. Ah, this is lucky. You can get 2 shotgun shots per jump. Or I guess in between each jump. What is this? Oh, right. If you see an arrow above your head when the background's blue, it's that guy. These fireball patterns are randomized, so you need to improvise a lot. But there are specific presets for each vertical formation of fireballs, so you can't memorize it, but it doesn't do anything unfair. Damn it. I think I got a little cornered there. I think I can spend an entire hour just playing this boss and not get bored, and I don't think you'd get bored either because there's just so much to show off. It's really interesting when you know how the armor mechanic works in this part of the fight. You do technically have decision-making whenever they're apart as to who to shoot. Oh, also, I didn't specify this. Their enrage abilities, they're based on the individual tracking of damage. So, if you only shoot Deus, you're guaranteed to get his enrage move first. Same thing if you shoot just Leina. And I'm not sure if this is correct, but I think at some point I avoided dealing with one of their enrage moves by only shooting the other. I've heard from other players that that doesn't work, but I haven't tested it myself, and I think it's happened to me a few times in the past, where I got to the end of the fight without seeing both enrage moves. Okay, red. Oh, it's the Reaper again. Oh, I guess I should talk about this. All of these characters that show up in the interlude phases are bosses from their past games. If the background is red, the boss is from a Best Guy game. If it's blue, it's from a Time Machine game. And I heard this from the speedrunner, but now that I've looked into Best Guy and Take the Time Machine, holy shit, I did that. It's definitely easier than the 20 horizontal lasers. Oh, this is first time this has appeared. The rotation speed of these is random, but the gaps are big enough that you can adapt to anything. But sometimes you need to double jump, depending on what the rotation speed is. A little bit of Danmaku here. It's not too dense, but you can choke on that. So yeah, under 1000 life, you need to do 2 interlude phases in a row. This bubble indicates infinite air jumps. Damn it, I messed it up. That's a windmill pattern. You need to go in a circle around her, which is way harder with platforming controls than it is in a shoot 'em up. something really cool. The interlude phases can't repeat. So, on one successful clear of Deus Leina, you need to do 3 completely unique interlude phases out of the 18 that could show up. All in all, I think you can see why I enjoyed doing this boss fight for so long, and why I still enjoy it. It doesn't really get old. And in the case of this fight, I'm not quiet because I have nothing to say. I'm quiet because I don't want to die. Oh, you! Quick time event, you need to mash the shoot and jump buttons. I think this is self-explanatory. When the screen flips back, immediately move, because that happens. Yes, I had to die to that a few times. Because after it killed me the first time, that guy just didn't show up again for a while. Oh yeah, if you do that much damage to Deus Leina, you get to do 3 interlude phases in a row. Okay, that was... I think the semicircles were pretty easy there. Alright. I made it to the last phase. Alright, this hasn't happened yet. I don't know the code. Maybe regardless of how much damage they've taken individually, they have to use both of their enrage moves before their final attack. Oh, damn it. I didn't last very long. So, here's the thing. That final attack has a lot going on. It's very, very easy to choke there. And when you're bad at this fight, you make it to this final attack so rarely that it's very easy to mess it up. And if you blaze through the first 2 phases, and you truncated the 3rd phase by bleeding over damage under 1,000 life, then Deus and Leina both likely have a lot of armor, because you need to shoot both of them at the same time to reach the final phase this fast. So you're going to have to use the rocket launcher during this final attack. And it's going to take a while. It's like an endurance test at the end of all of the crazy nonsense you need to learn, just in order to consistently reach the final attack. So that's why this took so long. I had to learn how to do all 18 of the interlude phases, and just figuring out how to survive one unique interlude phase felt like an accomplishment. Because some of them are really, really tricky. Others are trial and error. Some are randomized to where you need to adapt to whatever happens. And no amount of learning will make that easier, but at the same time they're relatively simple. And yeah, let's see how many unique things I can encounter here. I'm surprised just how much of my knowledge and muscle memory has remained. After I beat Deus Leina 1 in practice, my first attempt of Deus Leina 2 made it to the last third of their life bar. I think I might have gotten lucky with the attacks that have weird timings. Oh, this guy. Use the shotgun, because these drone things have... Damn it. They have a decent amount of life, and they're very small targets. So the shotgun is the only good way to deal with them. Yeah, the spikes get combined with some vertical lasers, which is probably the hardest part of that. Oh, about the final attack. Oh, and this move, now it goes in and out. So that's how that gets upgraded. It feels like a hard mode version of the final boss that's just mandatory after you beat the normal mode version. That's how I would describe this fight. Okay, got the timing right. That's why the red tokens are there. I think the rest of that is self-explanatory. You just stream giant bullets. I recommend using one of the red tokens to get up high and misdirect some of the bullets before you start streaming, or else they might wall you off on the opposite side if you move too fast. I forget how much I died to just the horizontal lasers before, but maybe you can tell that that enrage move is not nearly as bad based on the way I described it earlier. Oh, by the way, when Deus and Leina disappear, their position is saved. So if you remember where they are, you can immediately get some shotgun hits in. Okay, now I need to start going around. That sound effect indicates that it's going to switch direction. I don't know if the switch of the rotation is consistent, or if it happens at a random time. I just react to the sound effect, and I've never tracked how long it takes to happen. Okay, pretty good. Right. And you might have noticed, but much like the first boss, I can't lower them below 500 life until the final attack starts. Damn. I don't know where the best place to stand is. I think the middle, because maybe I should break down this attack. Singular orbs rain down above you, forcing you to move horizontally. Vertical beams fire, forcing you to stop moving horizontally briefly. 2 machine guns sweep across the bottom of the battlefield constantly. They never stop firing. You can jump over both of the machine guns when they overlap in the middle, so that's why I think the middle is good, and I think they sort of slow down on the edges, so if you happen to be there, you're in more danger for longer. But maybe somewhere between the middle and the edges of the screen is where you should be standing. I'm not entirely sure. I died. It's a shame I don't have my original death count saved, or... Actually, wait, maybe I have a screenshot somewhere. I could tell you what my death count was on the save file on which I beat Deus and Leina for the first time. Good thing I saved that. Yeah, if you wanted to do a lot of damage to them and skip over phase 2, you could... Oh, that's him again. You could leave them just over 2,000 life, wait for the giant laser attack to happen, with both of them next to each other, but that's kind of luck-based. And you could do a ridiculous amount of damage before the next phase starts. I'm actually surprised how consistent I am at this, even after all this time. I thought I would have gotten much rustier. Okay, made it. Just barely survived the hard part. Oh no! I pressed 4. So, that is a duelist standoff QuickTime event. The delay is random. You have to switch to a specific weapon, including the handgun. Which weapon is asked of you is random. You just need to see what the QuickTime event says. In that case, I needed to switch to the shotgun and fire immediately. You have a very small window to do that, or else he shoots you dead. I honestly think that's one of the hardest interlude phases, just because it's random and... yeah. And typically, a QuickTime event... you know, people talk shit about QuickTime events, but I'm totally okay with this, because I get what the idea is. And it's not like the game is littered with QuickTime events in general. Although... dying to that maybe doesn't feel great when compared to everything else. Your mileage may vary. That's definitely the interlude phase that I've survived the least number of times out of any of them. Deus's machine gun attack doesn't track you for as long, but it comes out so fast that it's just gonna kill you on the quick draw, I think. This is compared to part 1 of the boss fight, of course. Okay, can I actually survive this guy for once? Nope. Not yet. Again, don't get too close to Leina during this attack or you'll die instantly. I was questioning if I'm okay with the fact that their positions randomly make the fight go faster. Theoretically, it's a bit... you know, it's just RNG. If you want to kill them in record time, you need them to stand next to each other. But in practice, it's really not that bad. Yeah. It's just that sometimes the fight goes faster as a result, and depending on the attacks they do, shooting both of them at the same time can be dangerous, like right there. So I think it ends up mostly really interesting. It doesn't bother me that there's RNG as to your potential DPS. Okay, it's you again. I'll see if I can count how many unique... I almost messed up the timing because I was too busy talking. How many unique phases I see in this video. And again, I love that these guys don't deal contact damage. Obviously, it's because of the way they move around. It would be very unfair if they just appeared right on top of you and killed you. Actually, here's a good way to explain why this attack isn't so bad. The horizontal lasers don't matter. That's the quick and simple way. You're just dodging the vertical ones. And the vertical ones, they're either placed so that one of the lasers is right on top of you, or two lasers are off to the sides of you, so you need to either move or stand still. Similarly to the horizontal lasers. Although I think there's a difference here that when the vertical lasers are on top of you, the arrows always point down. And when they're aimed away from you, the arrows always point up, I think. Okay, I did it. So if you can react to that, you don't have to pay attention to where exactly the lasers are. You just see an up or down arrow and you know to either move or not. I think. I'm pretty sure that's how it is. I think my problem with the 20 horizontal lasers is what I was saying about how I always jump into them. Yeah, I'm right about the arrows. I see it now. Nice. I think my problem was, you know, our stupid human pattern-seeking brains. Sometimes the 20 lasers will alternate up and down, and during a single attempt, my brain picks up on the pattern of, oh, the last one was up, so the next one's gonna be down. Or actually, it's the opposite. The last one was down, so the next one's gonna be up. So I don't jump, or it. Wait, I can't work this out in my head. I didn't say that right. No, right, it's... the last laser was up, so the next one has to be down, and I jump into another upwards laser. That's what it is. So I had to unlearn that terrible habit in order to win. Okay. It's actually not that bad once you get used to it. You can use each telegraphed arrow for that interlude phase to practice the timing for the last volley of bullets. Damn. Another thing you can do for the vertical lasers is to move a little bit so that you're sort of in between the two sets of lasers that could hit you, and then adjust ever so slightly depending on which one it is. That way you don't even have to... I think it makes it a bit less precise, is all. Because you see me moving a lot. I think that's why I sort of learned to do it that way. So if there's a laser on top of me, I move a little bit, not all the way. And I don't know that the laser's on top of me until after I've moved, and then I move a little bit more to avoid it. Or I move backwards if the lasers are aimed away from me. I hope everything I'm saying makes sense. Oh, this guy. Yeah, I haven't seen him yet. Damn, I jumped too early. When the screen is flipped, it feels like your controls are reversed, because relative to how the screen is flipped, to move, the way the screen is now, to move to the left side, I need to hold the right key, and vice versa. Jump still works the same way, but that can be disorienting, so I died a lot here until I got used to that. But I think that's obvious. You need to grab the red token to jump over the giant projectile. Oh yeah, I wanted to make a point. I'm pretty sure Deus and Leina are original characters, because I saw some more original characters in, I think the Best Guy games. And here's something interesting. The big bad in at least one of the Best Guy games is called Gustav. And he sort of looks, his sprite is like Deus, but without the hat. there is... How do I explain this? There's a little bit of a tradition in fan games that the villain and the final boss tend to be some avatar of the developer. I think this sort of started with I Wanna Be the Guy itself, because the titular guy is voiced by the developer. So you can sort of see... You can see the final boss as the developer himself, which maybe you could... That could tie into the idea that the player and the developer have a slight antagonistic relationship in these fan games. Not in, like, a mean-spirited way, but obviously the developer of I Wanna Be the Guy was messing with you constantly with all the silly traps and whatnot. So my point is, I think Deus might be, although he's an original character, he might also be intended as a sort of avatar of Gustav, since all of his interlude phases that are associated with him because of the red color are from Best Guy games. The blue ones are from Time Machine games, so Leina might be the avatar of Influka. And I do think Influka's a woman, actually. Not that that matters, but at least in this case it kinda does. If, in a way, Leina is supposed to be her, right? I just think that's cool. The two devs are teaming up to kick my ass here, and I enjoy it a lot. Kill me more, please. This is great. I think I wouldn't be surprised if beating this part of the fight takes me a week. Hopefully it doesn't take much longer than that, because I guess I should mention this. I did a community post about it. Deltarune Chapter 5, everybody. Okay, there we go. After the slashes along the ground with all those circular indicators, he'll either raise his sword above your head, so if you jump, you die, or he does that overhead. And the animation is choppy enough that even though it looks like the sword is going downwards through you, you can just jump over it. Which is maybe a little silly, but it works fine. And for that last wave of spikes along the floor, do a singular jump and move against the direction of the spikes. I think that's the easiest way to get over that. Again, I died maybe a dozen of times to the last part of that interlude just to learn how to deal with that. And in order to even encounter that interlude, I need to trigger an interlude while Deus is active, and then roll a 1 in 9 to get that specific character. So you can imagine how long that took, and now apply that to almost all of the interlude phases. And add me losing my save file and having to replay the entire game. And you can see how this could take 3 years. Because maybe some of you, when seeing the first part of Deus Leina, were thinking, well, it looks tough, but I don't know, about 3 years. Maybe you were just really bad back then. And that would be reasonable, but I think now it makes sense. I did correctly press 2. I was just a little too slow. Wow, that's hard. Also, want to know something really fucked up about that phase? If you just hold down the fire button the entire time, weapons 2 through 4 have auto fire. So the moment you switch to them, you will shoot immediately if you're holding the fire button. The handgun is the only weapon without auto fire. So if the handgun comes up, I actually need to switch to it and then quickly release and press the fire button again, or else it's not gonna work. Yes, I learned this the hard way. And I was wondering, oh damn, am I really so slow? I thought I really quickly switched to the handgun. Why didn't it work? That's why. That's why. Like, I was pressing 1 as fast as possible. And again, I need to trigger an interlude phase while Deus is active, roll a 1 and 9, and then roll a 1 and 4 just for that situation to even come up a single time. It had to come up a dozen of times with me pressing 1 as fast as possible just to realize that, oh, the handgun doesn't have auto fire. I need to switch and then fire. How fucking ridiculous is it? You know what? It just sank in. This boss battle is batshit crazy. It really is. This is one of the most ridiculous things ever. And I love it. I really do love it. There's no way you can beat just this guy without it being impressive. Unless you play Angel mode, but that's neither here nor there. Oh, I should explain since I brought that up. When I mentioned that Angel mode bastardizes the final boss, Angel mode gives you multiple hit points, right? But that's not all. It cuts out all 18 of the interlude phases from this fight. If I understand correctly, it's just Deus and Leina. You just deplete their life bar. I think the final attack happens, I'm not sure. And maybe they're easier in various ways as well, because the other bosses, I think, are also simplified in Angel mode. The platforming stages, you just have hit points, and that's enough to get you through them much more easily. Oh, and I don't remember the specifics, but I think certain attacks from bosses are... Damn it. Double jumping over the slashes on the ground does help, but if you jump too high, you just get slammed back down into them. That's why those tokens are there. It's really nasty. But I think certain attacks of bosses are instant death even in Angel mode. I just can't quite remember. Doing this boss in Angel mode does a complete disservice to it, in my opinion, and I do not recommend it. It's much more fun to just see how far you can get, how many interlude phases you can beat at least once, how consistent you can get at the fight as a whole. A small thing I only noticed now during this playthrough, I mentioned that the node for this boss fight on the world map is purple. Well, Leina's color is blue and Deus's color is red, so if you put those together, you get purple. Ah! Right, I did forget about this guy. You have to jump for those fireballs. The explosions are a lingering hitbox that will kill you. That's way harder than it looks. Because you might think, oh, just walk left and right. Nope. It's more complicated. And what's really cool about their final attack is it's a combination of both of their moves, right? Deus's machine gun, Leina's orbs raining from above. The lasers alternate blue and red. And both of them have lasers like that in some form in their movesets. And since both of them are active and attacking at the same time during that final attack, the background is purple. It's not blue or red. And I think that's really awesome. I completely understand why there aren't any platforming stages in the castle, and it's just this fight. This fight is so much more than 3 platforming stages. I think it must have been a lot of work to put this together and make it as good as it is. Okay, it's been around an hour, but I do want to show off a little bit more, so I hope I can make it to the 2 back-to-back interlude phases and survive some of the ones that I haven't yet, or encounter new ones. I've lost track at this point. I'll know a new interlude phase when I see it, basically. Okay. Alright. Again, the mashing there, it's about alternating the 2 keys, not so much about speed, so don't give yourself carpal tunnel. Just make sure you're switching between pressing jump and shoot there. Oh, by the way, I now know all of the names of the characters that show up during these phases. I won't mention them now, but some of them are really awesome. And I've actually... I did a playthrough of Terraria, right? I have named some of my... Damn. Yeah, you can see that takes a very long time with the rocket launcher. If you wanted, I've seen the speedrunner do this. I think he might have been manipulating the amount of armor Deus and Leina have. He just shot Deus with the shotgun to end this phase as quickly as possible. So you need to keep track of who you're shooting and then get up close to the one who doesn't have armor to speed this up with the shotgun, which is really cool. It's surprisingly in-depth. Like, this fight is kind of deep mechanically. It's not super deep, but add all of the different attacks and interlude phases together with the few nuances that the fight has, and it's more than enough. So what was I saying? Right. I have named several of my Terraria characters after the characters in those 18 interlude phases. You'll know some of them if you've played I Wanna Take The Timemachine or I Wanna Be The Best Guy. Okay, although there's more I could be showing off, I think I'll stop here for now, and I'll try to record a successful attempt of this fight. After managing to beat it on my practice save file, which might take a few days all on its own. We'll see. Oh, what an amazing boss fight. The person who introduced me to this game The way he phrased it is, this fight is immaculate. And I agree. I still cannot believe that one of the greatest boss fights I've ever experienced is in a freaking I Wanna Be the Guy fan game. And this game is a major outlier. Like, fan games can have good boss fights, but they're rarely ever this difficult and this good. I'm actually getting high on this boss fight. I'm not joking. Okay. I'll come on down. Thank you for watching.